Welcome to AstroEnergy with astrologer angel Shelley Overton. Hey, welcome to the AstroEnergy show for Wednesday, March 22nd, 2017. I know you're probably wondering what happened to me, but yesterday was my beautiful daughter's 16th birthday, and so the whole day was filled with activity and last-minute preparations for gifts and cakes and traveling and all sorts of things. So I had to put off the show for today. So anyway, my name is Shelley Overton. I'm an astrologer in Orlando, Florida, and I'm very happy that you could join me. We are taking calls today at 347-994-3365. I hope you can call in for a reading. I know having the show on a different day throws people off, and I really have no way other than, I guess I could send a message through Blog Talk. But a lot of people follow me on Facebook or Instagram or even YouTube, which I have a lot of my shows posted on YouTube as after a post-production video. So if you're interested in catching my show on YouTube, you can find me there at Astrologer Angel and just type that in, or Shelley Overton. But yeah, having it on Wednesday, people, get a little thrown off. And I know I was on Wednesday at 5 originally, and I changed it to Tuesday morning at 11 because of scheduling. So anyway, I hope you're able to find me, and I'm going to let people kind of wander in today because I'm guessing they're probably not really aware that I'm here, and I'm hoping you will all find me just fine. But I will be in the archives, so that will help as well. So we're going to go over what's going on astrologically. And hang on one second. I'm just actually altering my little windows here on the desktop so that I can see everything properly. Anyway, let's see. I'm just trying to go back over in my brain what was going on over the last week, if there was anything rather noticeable going on. I don't remember any major news stories other than, the same old trying to find out information on Donald Trump and whatever he does day to day. But, that's an ongoing story. So let's see. Venus retrograded March 4th, full moon last Sunday, the 12th, and then I can't even believe we're already past St. Patrick's Day. And then we had the spring equinox. That was what was big. Oh, I love spring. So, yeah, we had the spring equinox, and we've got Sun in Aries now. So everything is much brighter. I don't know if you've been enjoying all this weather and energy, but I definitely appreciate spring. It's one of my favorite. Well, it probably is my favorite. I was going to say holiday season. But let's see. So International Astrology Day is March 20th, which isn't surprising because it's the first day of the zodiac, technically. And let's see what else we have this week. What I'm doing is I'm going over my ephemeris, my daily planetary guide. That's the book I have for the week, and I love it because it gets me through all of the aspects and what's going on astrologically week to week, and it gives me more of a day-to-day even knowledge and understanding of what's going on. So I really like it because it kind of does a lot of the footwork for me, so I don't have to keep trying to look at my ephemeris and do my own stuff. But anyway, so today is the 22nd, so we have Sun in Aries at 2 degrees. We have Venus at 6 degrees Aries retrograde. Mercury is at 16 Aries direct, and Uranus is at 23 Aries. So we have 4 planets in Aries. If you don't like Aries, you're not going to be having a good time, but I kind of like Aries. Aries falls into my 5th house, and that's the house of creativity and children. So there's a lot of activity around that for sure, juggling multiple creative projects going on right now. But Aries is also the sign of action and masculinity, sex on some level. I mean, Scorpio is a sexy sign, Sagittarius is a sexy sign, and Aries rules sex because it is ruled by Mars, the god of war and the masculine icon and symbol. So that energy is really strong in our minds and our psyches right now. So it is a heightened time for aggression and anger and angst, but it's also a heightened time for anxiety because we have Jupiter still opposite retrograde in Libra to Uranus, which is a more nervous energy and kind of a hyper aware energy. But in Aries, Uranus wants to take action. So it's kind of like, okay, I've got all this nervous energy and thoughts, and I've got so many things I want to do, and now let's just do them. And then Jupiter is over there in the partnership energy going, yeah, but, it's not quite baked yet. We're not quite ready. How can we slow down and really think about things again? And so it's not a completely embracing comfortable energy. So, yeah, we've got some opposition from, again, Jupiter rules education. So it could be an educational aspect. It could be studying. Jupiter in Libra. Libra is books. Jupiter's education. So, it is, I know my son's doing some tests this week in college before spring break. So it is probably a key indicator of spring fever because both Uranus and Jupiter want freedom, and they kind of want freedom from each other right now with Jupiter retrograde. So we've got Mercury. I guess when I talk about the planets, again, I want to clarify. When I talk about the planets, they do this and they want that. I'm saying that there is this energy in your chart, that there is either a person or a situation representing this energy in your world. And it could be personal or it could be, across the board for like the energy of the environment you're in. So it could be, oh yeah, there's a person in my environment who's just having a nasty time as a teacher and really wants to change jobs and do her own thing or something like that. So it could be in your environment. Doesn't necessarily have to relate to you personally. It just kind of depends on where it falls in your chart. So when I say this, when I say he or she, it really means that you have these influences in your life. So you can assign them to a person or you can assign them to a situation you're going through. So Jupiter in Libra can be that person, like I said, who is just totally disgruntled with their job, or it could be that you're feeling there's a situation with a friend who isn't quite working out and they're not giving you your freedom or they're not appreciative of you. So it could be more of the feeling of the situation as opposed to an actual person, but it can also be a person. So, whenever I give the energies of the planets, it is insinuating that these are also influencing you in your life. So somewhere. So we also have the energy of Mercury, like I was saying, coming up on a direct opposition to Jupiter. Let me get my glasses on. I can actually tell you when that is. So actually, on Thursday, Mercury squares Pluto. And so that's going to be another energy of, that same right around 20 degrees. We've been feeling 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22, and 23. So those kind of 5, 6 degrees right around that part of the zodiac as the planets transit and touch each other. And because Pluto squaring Jupiter, squaring Uranus has really been a strong influence for the last few years, those are the trigger degrees. So right now, of course, Mercury moving in to that conjunction with Uranus, which, by the way, it is another back your computer up moment because Mercury is technology and electronics and small appliances, and then Uranus rules the mass market and the mass effect of electronics. So I'm just trying to find out what day that is. That will be Sunday the 26th. So definitely know that if you have glitches and possibly I just had this visual of like bashing your computer out of frustration. Aries wants to bash the computer. That's kind of the energy we're feeling there, because like that Jupiter opposition to Mercury Uranus is definitely going to be like the computers are not allowing for the freedom at that point. And whether that's like, it's not doing what I needed to do right now, or it won't, do the correct login. I mean, my computer's been giving me trouble this whole year, especially with Mercury and Uranus. But Anyway, I digress. So the square between Mercury and Pluto on Thursday will be another reiteration of the same authority versus freedom. And it's really interesting how in politics, because Pluto rules politics and Pluto's in Capricorn squaring Uranus and Mercury in a wide square, it is about the dynamic of the parties seeing things completely different. And interestingly, both parties are very dogmatic, and both parties see the other one as a block to their freedom. So we are channeling this information, this energy is coming out for everyone, but the way it's being projected is different for everyone. So, I mean, it's we assign these attributes to people, and we are so set in our view of it, but yet at the same time, we are not able to see how we both want similar things in a certain way. We want our way, and we also see the other as being the one keeping us from having it. So, everybody feels that, but they're all just aligning with different sides of it. So the Pluto and Capricorn side is the side of structure, authority, and tradition. And the Uranus side is the side of alternative ways of looking at things, freedom, fringe element, and the unusual, and also local. So there's the overriding government system, and then there's the local, this is me, this is who I am as an individual. And both entities, Pluto and Uranus, are about power and power struggle. So it's really interesting to see it because Uranus, the way it expresses power is through intellect and logic, and it will dissect everything, find how people have folly and how they're not seeing themselves clearly, and then they will try to reflect, or the Uranian influence on people will, when it's strong in our charts, will bring out that need to play and toy with people and try to show them through being the catalyst of their own folly. So in other words, they will say, wow, you're sitting there being all worrisome over things. Well, what about this and what about that? And they might say, hey, here's another situation that can be worrisome. And they'll toy with them using their own energies against them, so to speak, their own ideology, their own dogma. And they'll say, they'll like little puppeteers pulling strings to trigger these uncomfortable feelings in the other person, so that the other person gets a taste of how they are kind of doing it to themselves. And that's what Uranus is trying to show us, how we are doing this to ourselves. So with a square to Pluto, Pluto wants to control through the dissection of the issue or the system, and it wants to pull out the deepest, darkest fears. And so in tandem, Uranus is really kind of showing you your fears, but it's using the modality of Pluto. So Pluto will find the problem, and then Uranus will trigger the problem and will sit there and say, I'm going to give you exactly the situation that is the most uncomfortable for you because you need to own it. And that's what Saturn is about, and that's what Capricorn, which is Saturn rules Capricorn, what Capricorn does. So it is about ruling or understanding those energies, those inclinations. And so Uranus in Aries is definitely an energy that does not want to be told what to do. Aries, newborn energy, wants to just have the freedom to explore new things and fun things, and wherever they have an idea, they just want to put their energy, and they don't want to be restricted in it. But of course, being opposite Jupiter retrograde and being square to Pluto, you're going to end up having others that disagree. So, it's a really difficult energy. And, as far as having it triggered repetitively through other transits right now, and I apologize if you keep hearing my beeps and bells, it's my computer. But yeah, so Mercury, again, is communication and thought approaching Uranus, which is that heightened sense of awareness around things and the highly analytical, logical mind that does, believe it or not, connect to spirit and brings down inspired understanding. So, being the ruler of the second to the last house of the zodiac, which is the 11th house, it is the one that connects us to our soul groups and gives us information that we can use to impart to others collectively. And it is the collective consciousness. So, as we see Mercury, which is thought, join up with an even more intense vibration of that same energy, we're going to have these amazing new awarenesses that we didn't necessarily have before. And these new awarenesses will also be in conflict to the system. So that means we're going to have to dig our heels in a little bit further and find out, more how to get along, or what lessons, which is probably more of an accurate way of looking at it, what lessons can be learned from that conflict. So let me see here. I'm just actually looking. I went on Facebook and promoted the show, but I don't know if anybody even knows I'm here right now. We don't have anyone on the phone line, so if you want to call in, it's 347-994-3365. And I'll just keep talking till somebody pops in. And actually, I've got a lot to talk about today, but if nobody does call in, we'll probably end the show early. But we'll see, because I have a lot I can talk about. So we have Venus retrograde still, and of course she's at 6 degrees, which means she's getting closer, 6 degrees Aries. She's getting closer to her transit back into Pisces, which happens in early April. And that is, I'm just looking up here. Oh, goodness sakes. I thought it was the 5th, but that's when Saturn retrogrades. Let's just find out here. Venus goes into Pisces on the 4th. So why is it not showing up here? Venus, Venus, Venus. It doesn't even show. I don't know. I'm starting to notice some typos on this book. Oh, there it is. Okay, because it happens over midnight from Sunday to Monday. So Venus enters Pisces at 8:25 p.m. on Sunday the 2nd. So it's really late on the 2nd. So coming up fairly quickly. It's about 10 days away. And so she's rapidly moving back towards the cusp of the very last degree of the zodiac. So again, because International Astrology Day is the very first day of Aries, when she gets to that point, she is going to trigger a lot of, and well, I only use that as a reference. She isn't going to trigger a bunch of astrology, although she may. Mercury joining up with Uranus means unusual information coming about, and it is astrology. So maybe a new planet will happen. Maybe there will be a very large shift in the energy around astrology and the awareness of what we know about astrology. So that'll be interesting to look for. And then as Venus gets to Pisces again, it is the old energy, the old feminine, and so it can also mean a connection with people of elderly generation who are female. And so that's more of the wise old sage woman. And it would be, Betty White probably falls in that category. And people who are, really elderly, or I've noticed a couple people passed recently. The guy who did the Gong Show, I noticed this morning, passed away at 87. Chuck Berry passed away at 87. And it was really interesting because the story around him was that he was a spy. And I don't really know how true that is. I know he wrote a book about it, that he was actually, a spy. And he also did the Gong Show, if you can believe it. But there was somebody else, I can't remember off the top of my head. There was someone who passed away recently. And he was elderly as well. And I wish I could remember. I think he was an actor, a couple of them, actually. So, we're going to probably see in the month of April more elderly transitioning to the other side. And Venus, again, is the energy of women. So it could lean more towards women. If it were Mars going back in, it would be more men. But Venus means more women. And it is also going back into the energy of the psychic realm and addictions and where we have illusions about ourselves. So as Venus went forward, and of course, we have Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Sun all fairly quickly moving together in cluster around the Sun. And Mars now is in Taurus, but Venus, Mercury, and Sun are all in Aries. And of course, Sun can't transit, it's the center of the universe. So from our perspective, the Sun is in Aries on Earth. So we have these energies going through this area of the sky and having just gotten out of Pisces. So we had that deep energy of wanting and desire and vision for something without the ability to move forward when all these planets were in Pisces at the beginning and first 2 months of the year. And then as they moved into Aries, we actually were able to make some headway in our stories, some headway in the business side of things, new businesses, and taking action. So, it's been a really interesting time between emotion and taking action for the beginning of the year. Then we got into this place where there is a lot of action going on. I mean, personally, I have a few different businesses that I'm kind of getting up and running, and they're all starting to culminate right now. So I'm kind of getting my head spinning. And I knew it was coming, and I was very concerned that I would end up, feeling overwhelmed by it. But I'm not completely overwhelmed by it. I am kind of energized by it. It's really exciting. But I do have personal projects, personal / business, that I'm working on that I can't get to because it's just something that has to be put down the list as I'm getting to other things. So it is about prioritizing. Aries has a lot of action it wants to take. So Pluto in Capricorn is about organizing. And so you want to organize all this stuff that's going on to the best of your ability. And Uranus, I found, really triggers that need to clear old junk out of things. Uranus energy, it's an air ruling sign. So it rules Aquarius, which even though it's got water in the title, it is an air sign. So air is clear. Air signs want things to be more clear and clarified. So as Uranus really triggers this Capricorn energy, Capricorn is a systematic organizational energy, but Uranus is really triggering it to clarify and clear out. So the clutter clearing is going on. It's still a process, but as Venus gets to Pisces, it's going to be going back over old memories, old items, deciding and determining the value of them, and then letting them go or putting them where they are better served. So we're going to see that energy over the next couple months until Venus gets back into Aries, which is going to be the end of April. And I'm going to flip back to my April in the chart. And the caller in the queue, I will get to here in about 10 minutes, but please hang on because we're just covering some astrological energy that's in the sky right now. Okay, so Venus gets back to Aries on the 29th of April. And so that means that what we're feeling really right now with the Sun and over the next week is an intense energy that is going to be revisited at the end of April. So we have another 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks again, before we come back to this place of intense action. So right now and through the 2nd of April, when Venus gets into Aries, it's going to be a rush to the goal in some aspect. And honestly, personally, like even the next few days as Sun is coming up on Venus, it's a really good time to get those concretized. And hey, this is where we're at. This is what we want to accomplish, because when Venus gets back there at the end of April, it's going to take off again. And that's a really intense time because now Venus will be going direct. She won't have any, hey, wait a minute, I left my purse in the house and running back to the house to get it. So we're going to be going forward full bore into May. And then, of course, as the planets get further along in the zodiac, they're going to be into Taurus. And then that's money. So all of you who have been asking where the money is, just wait. May time, everything's going to be much more about the money with Sun joining up with Mars and Taurus and love and all that. Okay, so real quick before I take a break and take calls, we're going to talk a little bit about Uranus going into Taurus. And you say, well, that's a ways away. Those of you who know astrology, it is. It's May of next year, May 16th of next year, Uranus goes into Taurus. But I generally go by intuition, and that energy was coming up pretty strongly for me this week, and I just had it on my mind, so I wanted to talk about it. Okay, so Uranus, like I said, rules a lot of unique things and alternative lifestyle or alternative healing. I personally have Uranus in Virgo, which is alternative health, alternative healing. It rules your soul group. It's the energy of the 11th house, so it can rule money from career. It is the energy of unique things, unexpected things, curiosity, genius, and intelligence of any sort. And let's see, the technology, chemicals. It rules chemicals and chemistry, science, and probably science, technology, and math are all covered under Uranus. Astrology and autonomy, being aware of things and wanting to call your own shots. So there's this really strong independent nature based on not only intellectualizing things, but also channeling information that is more collective consciousness. So when it goes in from a fire sign, which is lighting up, air lights up fire, and it goes into an earth sign, it triggers all the material world. It triggers that which is closer to the earth plane. So not only does it bring all of those what are they, attributes to Taurus. Taurus influences Uranus in an earthbound energetic way, and that means material goods, property, love, the body, the way we eat, agriculture, things like that. So we're going to see a combination of these two energies next year as Uranus goes into Taurus. And because there are some really strong energies coming in the end of the year, and I will get to those in a second, it's going to be a really strong shift. So Uranus moving to the end of Aries is going to wrap up a lot of that new cardinal energy that Aries has. So it's the fire and it's technology. So as that shift is starting to happen, so a year from now, we're going to be seeing probably more explosions, more awareness of diet, more alternative health diets. We're going to see more of a shift in as it moves in to local growing and local farmers markets really taking off. This is the time when we are much more aware of the chemicals in the food that we eat, the chemical makeup, the GMOs, all of that is going to really get triggered. And while, interestingly, the government is potentially taking off regulations from doing business, which could slop over into diet and agriculture and how we get our food, the alternative is Uranus is going to be addressing those. And there will be some energy around trying to control how the chemicals are in the food. And I see that as being one of the biggest issues coming up with Uranus going into Taurus, because Taurus does have a really strong connection to the creation of food, being it's an agricultural sign. So the food's being generated out of the earth, and then chemicals are being used on it. So that's going to be a really big issue coming up as we see Uranus go into Taurus. And then we're going to see how we ingest all this food and our diets and our bodies, because the second house and the sign of Taurus, Venus ruled, it rules the physical body, it rules the tangible person and the health in some aspect through digestion and through connecting to the earth. So there's going to be that added aspect to when Uranus goes into Taurus. You know, are we eating healthy? Is it something that I want to put in my body? What chemicals are in my environment? What chemicals are in the house and the home and the land? Because the land is a huge, huge part of this. So agriculture is going to be really big, and what goes into it. Then it can also be earth storms, because Uranus rules electric storms, and then the earth. I would honestly say there's going to be probably a lot more issues with cable, because cables are buried in the earth. Uranus rules technology, broadcasting, all of that kind of thing. So internet is going to go through a shift And, interestingly, I just got a hit that I think that it's going to become more home-based technology, that almost like we're going to bring technology into the home environment, and it's going to be more based out of there. So like potentially like we used to have TV antennas for every home, maybe we'll have a small cell tower on the property. It isn't something I personally want to do because I'm not a fan of cell towers, because I think that has its own health issues. But there could be more of that satellite dish for every home, and then we each individually generate our own technology and point of reference, so that we're all taking it in, as opposed to the mass technology. It's going to be much more individual. So there's a lot of energy coming in that is going to be majorly shifting around technology and what we understand to be true, and awareness of even the idea of knowledge and how we utilize it for the earth and for the material, physical body of the earth. So, environment and environmental awareness. And then, of course, it's going to rule money and money systems, especially because at that point, Uranus will take a while to get to the degree that Pluto is at now. And quite honestly, they are separating. So that means that even though Uranus is going into an earth sign, Pluto is not Pluto is not going to join up in a square of any sort, but it will potentially come into a trine. But of course, that's so far down the road. I honestly would have to research it to know when that is. It would be years before they actually trine each other. Well, I mean, they are going to trine. They have to trine because that's the next aspect. But but they're going to be working in tandem at that point, and there will be changes down the road that relate to the physical body, the earth energy, awareness of the soil, awareness of the land, and the physicality of the earth. And then values, which are Taurus also. So we're going to start to have a shift away from hierarchical values into more local, personal values. And we'll see that probably more local exchange of currency. You're going to do more business, like going to the neighborhood market again. I think that there's definitely a strong energy, especially as Neptune gets to later degrees of Pisces coming into early 2020s. You're going to see that wanting that retro feel of the local market, the local main street, become much more enticing on a global level. So it's not going to be as much about outside of ourselves or over there. It's going to be about, well, you know what? I live my day-to-day life here in this realm, in this area, and I really want to have a connection to the people, and I want to have a connection to the food coming locally. So it's a much more localized energy. So anyway, and then as far as markets are concerned, it could be another difficult time. The earth signs are cold. The earth signs tend to be more pragmatic and practical. So it's going to be like that. Technology stocks are going to have practical application to do well. And, but then again, on a positive note, when Uranus gets to Gemini, tech will go crazy again and science will go crazy again, because that's that mercurial energy. But that kind of unexpected stuff, it's probably going to bring more unexpected storms, larger storms, just because you add Earth to the mix. You're going to have more dust storms in the west, more earthquakes, things like that, shifts in the Earth's crust. So, yeah, and then also nuclear energy and all kinds of energy issues will be coming up as well. So, okay, that's all for Uranus and Taurus for now. I'll probably be talking a lot more about it next year as well, because it's a pretty big event going in. But as Mars right now is in Taurus, then we also see a stronger market, or, more pragmatic, but then bullish, because, of course, Taurus is the bull and Aries is the ram. Mars rules Aries, so the ram energy joins with the bull energy. And it's going to be bottom dollar driven, which means that we're going to need to see that it's actually something that's going to earn us money right now before we're really on board with it. So not that that isn't something everybody always wants anyway, but definitely right now with Mars and Taurus, it's about show me the money, show me where it's coming from, as opposed to speculation. So it's probably much more practical, pragmatic, and slow to invest. And it's good. Right now, Mars in Taurus is also investing in like property and land, which, like I said, Taurus rules that, and estates. So estate sales could be a good place to get things right now as well with Mars and Taurus. And I didn't really touch on Saturn and Sag. It's at 27 degrees. He's going to go retrograde here coming up not too long, I think. Let me look, see if I can find it. Saturn goes retrograde April 5th. I think I did mention that at the beginning of the show. So right now we're really coming into the shadow period, and the issues we're coming up right now about people and, you know, a lot of the immigration policies, that stuff's going to all be revisited when Saturn goes retrograde. And then Pluto at 19 Capricorn. Today the moon is right at 24, so the moon just joined Pluto overnight, and so more home and family enjoyment and family issues that are coming up. And then interestingly, because my daughter got her driver's license this weekend, or this week, yesterday, so there's some more energy around family like that, you know, Mercury and Aries, new energy going out, being free. Anyway, okay, so we've talked a lot about the chart, and I'm going to take calls here in a minute, and we'll get to our caller. And if anyone wants a reading, you can call in at 347-994-3365, and we'll see you after a couple-minute break so that I can take a drink of water. Oh my gosh, I just love that. That's such a peaceful, pretty song. Okay, welcome back. My name is Shelley Overton. I'm an astrologer in Orlando, Florida. You can find me at astrologerangel.com. That is my website, and also the means to get a reading if you are interested. And we'll take some callers now. So let's see who we have. Hi, 678. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good. Who is this?
If you could look at my employment situation, I'm looking for...
Hold on a minute. Hold on. Could you tell me your name?
Hello?
Hi, can you tell me your name?
Oh, sorry, Kathy.
Kathy. Okay, I didn't know if I had talked to you before, and I could have, called up your chart if I'd talked to you before, but that's okay. Okay, so first off, I need you to give me your birth information so I can do your chart.
August 20th, 66.
Okay. And what time? Do you know what time you were born?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you know if it's morning or evening? I can just do a sunrise chart.
Morning, I think.
Okay. I'll just put it down for 8 a.m. And if that doesn't seem right, we can do a sunrise. Where were you born?
Michigan.
City?
Saginaw.
Okay. Okay, what would you like to know about?
I'm looking for employment to see if you see anything coming through.
Okay, great. Let's see here. So you have a couple planets in Virgo, which is health. You've got Mercury and Jupiter. And let's see what else you have here. Saturn. Saturn is usually life, purpose, and career. And that is in Scorpio. So that energy inclines you to being in research. Something detective work is good, psychology, and really strong sociology connection here, something that helps people. Law, lawyers and law, and let's see, Mars in Taurus. I'm going to also do another chart since you really don't have the time of birth. I'm going to do a sunrise chart for you as well. Hang on one second. Okay. There we go. Okay, so sunrise chart. Let's see what's going on with that. Okay, tell me, I'm just trying to tweak in on what it is that you do, and then I know which planets to look at. So what area of expertise do you do?
Accounting.
Accounting? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So accounting would be Taurus. That's really positive, actually. Mars in Taurus right now. I'm just looking at how it's interacting with some other planets real quick before you give an answer. I think that you definitely have something coming in. We need Mars to get a little bit farther, which is going to be a little bit longer. Right around the first week of April looks really good. Mars hits on April 8th. It hits your midheaven, which is where it's the career house. So have you applied anywhere, I would assume?
Yes.
Okay. And the moon is also going over the next day, will be in your house of work, and you actually have your natal moon in Aquarius. So moon's going into Aquarius, which will be good about hearing from something, hearing about a job, but it's also the energy of multiple jobs. So have you considered doing something else or putting out more than one application to a different type of work? I mean, do you have multiple interests?
I put out tons of resumes.
Okay.
Applied to tons of jobs.
Okay. So it looks like there's a really strong energy around partnership or even something that's related to joint finances. Are you married?
No.
Okay. Well, because you're not, there's a potential for having a partnership situation arise where you could maybe connect to somebody and then do something with another person. Have you considered working for yourself and just advertising or getting a partner who's in a similar type business and opening your own place?
I have, but it's not doable at this time.
It's not doable at this time. Okay, well, definitely as Neptune gets closer to your Mars, you're going to want to do something that's more in alignment with your dreams. Let me see, your dreams are in Libra. So, yeah, your chart's really strong for partnership. And Jupiter, right now, Jupiter's retrograde. Do you have somebody you've been like, oh, it'd be really, really great if we got together and did this or that?
For business? No, not at all.
Not at all. Okay. And you have Venus and Cancer. Cancer likes to be out of the home. So a home business actually is pretty, I mean, like you have Mars in Pisces, Venus in Cancer, Uranus and Leo in the 12th house, which is wanting to be a little bit more out of the spotlight. You do have Sun in Leo and Pluto right next to Pluto and Leo. So you are aware of your ability to get attention, but having Uranus in the 12th can also mean, you're hiding some information or you want to have a certain amount of control over how things come out and not as anxious to be in the spotlight, but you do like recognition for what you do. Jupiter in Virgo means that is an energy around being alone also. Virgo is the sign of the loner or the hermit, which means that you have the ability to take care of details and tasks, but not necessarily enjoying some of the connection to other people. Like you have a strong inclination towards mental alone time, so you have to give yourself that. And it also rules work. So have you considered teaching?
I have considered teaching. I just don't have the right qualifications right now.
How much would it take to do that for you? I mean, like, is it just a matter of taking one or two courses or even just like a certification course, or would you have to go back to school?
Oh, no, I have to go back to school.
Oh, okay. I'm just trying to figure out where I can give you some guidance, because it's really kind of, I'm not feeling a lot of strong energy going in right now, and I'm thinking that has to do with some of the Pluto moon connection, which is like a little bit more restrictive. But with Pluto in your fifth house, it's saying, you need to have some playtime. I understand you're really serious about looking for work and everything, but a lot of times if we detach from that fear about not having the work and actually do something that's enjoyable, you release the energy to come to you, so that, it really is an energetic thing. That's a lot of what I deal with and what I do. And so, having that release of energy can allow something to come into your world. So I'm just going to dig a little bit deeper here and see some other stuff. So Jupiter is coming up on your Neptune, and that's in Libra, like I said. Again, Neptune in Libra is connection to partners in the third house. So let's see. You said accounting. Now should be a really good time for accounting. It's coming up on April 15th. Have you gone to places like H&R Block?
Well, that's tax work. I do more financial reporting, FP&A duties, and I'm at a controller director level.
Oh, okay. Great. You do have the potential. Everything in your charts, like, to me, the energy I would say is it deals with getting in touch with someone else who wants to do a similar thing. Venus going into the 12th house is going to be a little bit more difficult, and it means that you might have to rely on some family members or, I don't know if you have a parent who's available or willing to help you, but it's kind of that energy. And it really is wrapping up an old story around having to rely on someone else. So I don't know if you've been, getting help from family or anything, but it's really honestly just the last month or two of having to have that. But I think that you will get something. I think it's just not necessarily coming until Venus gets direct again, and that's April 15th.
Okay. Is there anything that's blocking me getting work? Because I've been looking for a long time, and it's just I have to go back to work.
Right.
It's literally in dire straits.
Yeah. Okay, well, because it's in dire straits, have you applied to places that are not? The alternative energy in your chart, it's like Aries, Uranus and Aries, which is like looking in places that are other than what you're used to. Have you, considered like going into a craft store or going into, retail or something like that? Just if it's that dire, just having something?
I've done that. Did that. It's people don't understand unless they're truly looking for work. If you're literally, I fall into that, you're overqualified. I would take anything to just get income.
Okay.
But it's
my advice, and this is strictly from what you just said, would be to take off some of your qualifications if you're applying for lower jobs. Maybe you've done that, but take off some of the things that make you seem more qualified for the jobs that aren't quite in that strata.
But you can't. That's what people still. You can't do that because then when they do a background check on you, they find out the information. So it's like you can't win for losing. I understand that too, but once they run a background check on you, they pretty much have a good. I see your life. So you can't. You see what I'm saying?
I do. So I just don't think that it's something that isn't surmountable. Have you considered like a temp agency? Because I know I've used that in the past, and it was really great because they would give you the work, and quite honestly, it's one of the best things out there as far as I'm concerned. They put you in the job, they know your qualifications, but then they're kind of like a buffer to the business so that you can get the jobs and you would have work right away. And then a lot of times you go into the position and they get to know you, and then they're like, well, we want you to stay because now we know you. But the beauty of a temp agency, especially with all the planets in this really strong independent energy, is that you're kind of like your own boss, but they're like a broker to get you the work, and they have to fill X amount of positions. So when you go in, you're like a commodity so that they can actually utilize you as something that they need. So it's almost like they want you out of the gate. So you don't have to feel as, well, I have a dead end here and I have a dead end here. I'm trying to sell myself to this company. You go to the temp agency, they know your field, they know where you're good. And then you can actually get work and potentially work it into something more. So,
right.
Have you considered that?
I've applied to temp agencies at my level. It's contract position, and I don't know what the issues are. I was thinking and that would be the perfect scenario right now because I'll get paid weekly. I have tried. Supposedly I was waiting for the hiring manager to interview me. It's the last couple weeks. He was trying to get the schedule yesterday, followed up, and they're like, no, they selected someone else from somewhere else. It's just, I can't get ahead. It's just no matter what I do, I can't get employed, and I don't understand what the block is or what's going on.
Right. Okay. Well, let me just look at a few of the planets in your chart. First off, you've got Sun at late degree Leo squaring Saturn at late degree Scorpio, which tells me, I personally, since you already mentioned it, that energy can mean an energy of fraud. So I would say that you had already mentioned, and also you have Pluto at 28 Leo. I would say to look into your background yourself and see what's coming up and clear up anything that might be going against you. Because that energy right there tells me that there's some information that you may not even be aware of, even if it's Credit Karma, because I use Credit Karma too. Go into that and do a check on your history there and see what comes up there, because if there's anything that makes you unhireable, you can clear it up. I had a friend.
I haven't even gotten that far, ma'am, to actually get to the point where they're doing the background check or they're doing stuff. I haven't even got the offer yet. They won't do that because that's spending money until you get an offer. So I'm trying to figure out how to get from me actually speaking to someone, a potential interview, to actually interviewing, to actually at least getting signed, sealed offer first.
Right.
And I don't know why I'm not getting offers.
Okay, well, boy, you've got, I don't know why. I mean, I rarely have this, but it's like I can't connect to your chart, and I'm wondering if it's because I don't really know what time you were born, which kind of resonates to who you are. I do sunrise charts. You've got a sunrise chart, and everything in here is saying that you've got some blocks from Pluto, and that is the deep energy around how you present yourself and your image. So if you're not necessarily, I mean, honestly, it's really something where you have to take a deep look at how do I come across. And I usually want to really be supportive, but I would say, I understand you've been through a lot of difficult energy with these jobs, trying to find jobs and not getting anywhere. That really beats a person down in their ego and their sense of self. But it can also restrict what you get if you're going to these people and you already have this mindset of, well, you're not doing what I need you to do, and you're feeling frustrated and you're giving out this energy of maybe desperation. It's an energetic thing, which is difficult to like pinpoint. You know, it's like, okay, well, what does that mean? Energy. It means that you've got to find a way to be optimistic and more positive. Saturn in Sagittarius in the 5th house for you is absolutely about owning a lighter side. A year ago, the energy was about letting go of some fears. And in a larger sense, I mean, you're asking about a very practical, pragmatic thing, getting a job. I understand that, but you might, your chart even shows that you might have to move to get it. You've got Mars going through the house of transportation and travel and long distance, and it's in Taurus, so that's money. So you might actually have to move to a different place.
Okay.
But and also Saturn in Sagittarius kind of says that too. But it doesn't necessarily have to be physical. It could be just energetic. But I definitely think you have to make a change in how you present yourself.
Okay.
I mean,
thank you.
I'm sorry. Like if we had a private reading, I would probably dig a little bit more deeply and do a little bit more personal stuff. But because we're on, a radio program, podcast, I don't want to get into too much personal stuff. But yeah, I think it's definitely, I mean, it's just striking me that way, that there's like, you have a sadness, and if you can find a way to present yourself, even if it's only for the 10 minutes while you drop off a resume, or if you talk to someone on the phone, just try and find that more buoyant side of yourself. Because, and even if you did some like meditations and things like that to try and find that, because it could just come across as heavy. And if you can find that buoyancy, I think that would honestly help you more.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, I'm sorry. I wish I could make it all better for you, honestly. I wish I could. But April is going to be better. I know after April 15th, it will be much better for you. I would honestly try again on the different, like Kelly services and stuff like that. I wouldn't give up on the temp agencies, honestly. Anyway, thanks for the call.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, well, I'm sorry I couldn't say more that would be energetic and positive, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks of time where we're going to have to really look inward and see what it is we truly want and where we want to go and what it is we need to change. And I definitely am going through some of that myself, because I have dreams that I want to make happen, and I want to make sure that I'm heading in the right direction to do that. So, clean house emotionally, that's what Venus back into Pisces is all about. So anyway, I really hope you have a lovely week, and I will see you next Tuesday at the regular time at 11 a.m. Eastern. My name is Shelley Overton. Thanks for listening.